Hello, welcome to True Hoop with me, Jarod, Hector, and Coach David Thorpe. How are you, sir?
Jarod, do you know what I'm doing tomorrow? Did
Watching
I don't
NBA
think I told
basketball?
you. Actually, no. I am going to a college practice. I'm going to Gainesville tomorrow
Oh, your alma mater.
because
Go Gators.
because yes. Well, I'm going because it's our 40. We did a 40th reunion for my pledge class, which I wasn't really close to those guys. I feel bad about that, but I like them now. And it was 41st year.
Wow.
So I hadn't seen most of those guys since college. In
Yeah.
1987, we graduated. I hadn't seen them, most of them, since our pledge class finished in like 83, 84.
Yeah.
I think everyone's kids are already out of college now, literally.
Okay.
I know we have at least a few grandfathers.
Nice.
But to me, they're all 18. You know, one guy's a big producer in Hollywood, and one guy's been the CFO for every pro team in Miami except for the Heat. He's hoping to get that gig so he hits his clean sweep of all the other teams. But they're all just like 18-year-old nerds that I knew them back in the day. So, yeah. NBA season starts the last couple of nights. I get to see these guys tomorrow. Yeah, life is good. I got no complaints.
So are you guys going to stay Saturday for a football game or no?
Though they never do a home game because you can't get a room.
Oh,
you know,
yeah. Gators too popular.
All the South. I was in Tuscaloosa. And I left a day early after the hurricane because they hosted a football game. And my room was, instead of $250 a night, was $1,000. Yeah, no thanks. Yeah, fuck you. So I pretty much said that. So so no, they're all gonna stay for the whole weekend, but I can't take 2 nights off for the NBA.
Right.
And I actually have a girlfriend of mine that's she's got a big birthday party at the bar her and her husband owned. I've known them their whole lives. So I'll tape the games that night too. I'll miss games 2 nights in a row. I'm sure I'll have games on. It's a sports bar at the hotel we're at.
Oh yeah. So
if it's like last year, they all love the NBA, and so they'll come with me after like 10 o'clock, and we'll put on the late games. Yeah, it'll be good.
And they'll be like, oh, well, since you're intimately familiar with the NBA, they'll take knowledge from you, and when they go back home, they'll sound smart to their friends, being like, oh, let me tell you about this.
The worst part about this is these guys are sweet men. They really are. But they love to text me if they know there's a certain player I'm helping, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, what a great rebound. Did you see it? Like, yeah, I saw it. It's the most common. Have you ever seen do you remember Back to the Future, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yep.
So I saw it in the theaters when it came. So the guy that plays Biff.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the song he sings?
No.
Jarod, it's hilarious. I actually saw it this morning. I've seen it before. It's a really catchy little tune it's called Stop Asking Me the Questions. Is Michael J. Fox nice? What's Christopher, whatever,
Lloyd
like, you know?
Yeah.
What was the DeLorean like? He says a piece of garbage. And so when I see these guys, like, they ask me the dumbest. It's not just these guys, it's anyone
who knows what you do. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
When they don't really know me well. One guy texted me last night, like, are you watching so-and-so's games? Like,
right.
Yes, like, of course I'm watching the game. What's the point otherwise, you know? Not to mention True Hoop. I have to be watching this shit, right?
Well, David, feel flattered because not everyone has PhD basketball level knowledge like you. So
no, of course they mean well. I've had people tell me many years ago, like, hey, did you ever hear of a 2-3 zone? That's a little bit stupid.
Correct. You know what that is.
These people aren't doing that at all. They're good natured about it. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing these guys and already taking one out for basketball because, as you know, and we talk about all the time, woo, boy, is it a long season ahead.
Good God. It was so funny because last night I watched 3 games and the late game went into overtime. I was like, come on, man. Like, do we got to go to overtime on the West Coast game? Because that means a 1 a.m. bedtime. Like, you know?
I didn't even see the second half of that game. I had Golden State's thrashing of Portland.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, Henry. I had the Phoenix game on in the first half, and I ended up getting on the phone and missed the second half. Sounds like it was a great game. I'll watch it on Synergy today.
Yeah.
I saw some tweets about Slim Reaper. Mm-hmm. I figured Durant made some big shots.
Well, yes, as he is wont to do, as did James Harden. Someone on Twitter actually said,
"Really,
James Harden and Kevin Durant making big shots. What is this, 2008?"
Right. Amazing. Yeah, that's it. There's something going on there that they went overtime. Although it's just So let me say this: So we're going to have interesting conversations. Lots of stuff happened last couple of days. But you know my reaction of let's just Larry David it. Let's just curb
your enthusiasm.
Our enthusiasm. Like, easy
we got 81 more games to go.
Right. We're not Magic Johnson telling Cap, I'm going to jump in your arms 81 more times if you keep making 18-foot skies to win games. We're going to slow it down a little bit. It's just one game. We can make some observations.
For sure.
I'm not going to carry a lot of meaning to most of them, for sure, other than the one injury that I saw it live.
DeJounte Murray?
No, I didn't see
Wiseman.
that one live. I saw Wiseman. I saw it when it happened. The camera's shuffling to follow the action, and I see him crumpled on the floor, and I just assumed he landed on someone's ankle because he took a dumbass shot.
Yeah.
And he didn't. He just stepped backwards, and boom. Right away, I thought Achilles, but he was walking on it.
Which you can do, though, sometimes.
That I wasn't sure. I thought so. They're calling it calf. He's getting the MRI today. I had a friend of mine was at the game. More than a few friends were at the game. And they texted me that he was in some pain initially. And when he came back from the locker room, I don't know what's happened since then. So those kind of things, injuries are potentially really serious. Everything else, you can look great one night. 2 weeks later, it's a memory. So we're going to curb our enthusiasm.
Let's hope for the best for Wiseman, because calf almost always means Achilles is.
I was worried.
Almost 100% of the time. That's the thing.
And I think he scored like 6 points in just a few minutes.
Well, and we were very high, David, on if we think he could be a good backup for them. I mean, they have Jarris Walker, so whatever. But from him as a person,
Right. I thought so. And Isaiah Jackson didn't play in that game, their normal backup. And they had to play a two-way player who did well from Akron, Enrique Freeman, who I like, but he's not ready to help a team that wants to, get to the Final Four. And so Wiseman would be. It gives them something. Like Miles Turner does. Miles Turner was very good yesterday.
Yes.
Might have been their best player for a big part of the game, but Wiseman's injury it could be a big deal for them.
Yeah, for sure. So, in case you haven't guessed, folks, the NBA season has begun. Tuesday night we had the two doubleheaders, and then last night we had another 10 or 11 games, and then by tonight everybody will have played one game. Some teams too. And so we're here. We're in the throes of it. So, David, I wanted to start with just top line, your quick things that you saw, observations, opening night of the NBA, and then I'll do mine.
I did not open up what I sent you already, so you're gonna have to guide me some. The very first thought, going back 2 nights, was the Celtics just have adults. And so champions sometimes win their first game on ring night. I've seen teams get blown out. And I'm not surprised that they just look like it was just another game. They were able to compartmentalize the ring ceremony. I was talking to one of the players about it. Pretty amazing experience when you don't have a ring before. But then they just played the game. They shot a ton of threes. They made a bunch of threes. And the Knicks were clunky. And this is the one thing I'll say is I do think there's an advantage when you just bring everyone back, because
continuity.
The reality is training camp's a week. It's not really training camp anymore. It's not like boot camp.
Right.
The preseason games, these guys play so many games, they're bored out of their minds in the preseason. They're also competitive players, and it's just not competitive. It's almost like exhibition basketball, especially for veterans. And so this is the first real indication. And so teams like New York that are trying to mix in some new guys against that team, not a surprise that it just didn't go great. Not to say they couldn't have, but it's not a surprise that it didn't. So that was my first thought on Boston. The most impressive win last night for me was Orlando and Miami, just fucking punking the Heat in the third quarter. It was a very competitive game before that. Guarding, playing with force. Miami just sucked for whatever reason. I thought they'd be better. They were bad in one game. I liked Charlotte's win. Charles Lee impressed me as a head coach in the preseason with the way Charlotte played. I thought that Trey Mann, who got a lot of playing time late because Brandon Miller, who had the dunk of the night, I believe, hurt himself and got a hip pointer, I think, or hip something in the third and early in the game, 11 minutes for him in. And Trey Mann was a beast in big shots for him down the stretch. Let's see what else I thought. Oh, the overarching theme of the night was that the NFL played last night.
Yes.
Not in every game. I will say that there were some games like Detroit, Indiana was rugby. And I'm not kidding. It was more physical than playoff games tend to be with, and this was not just unique to that game. Bumping cutters, bumping drivers, a lot more handsy off the ball.
Yep.
I was talking to some players and texting with some players last night about those of you that have more strength and power are going to be advantaged in this style. The players that are less powerful and relying more on quickness and being elusive are going to be grabbed more. This wasn't handshaking. This was hand holding. This was grabbing bodies, just a lot more physical and not consistent. There were definitely some weird calls.
Correct.
The refs will have to work that out. So that being said, I thought Detroit did exactly what they should do. They turned it into a mud fight with Indiana and were successful for a long period of time. And then it looked like the Celtics versus Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, where Indiana controlled 3 of the 4 games totally and then died in the end. This time Indiana didn't die in the end. Tyrese could not score. Missed his first 8 threes. Did not look good. I know we'll get to that a little bit later. Played well. I think he had only 4 assists. Siakam 9. Emma had 7. They just kind of wore Detroit down. But to be fair, playing physically has an anaerobic tax. It's not an aerobic tax of running. Anyone who's ever wrestled or boxing knows what I mean.
Yep.
And so it's going to take a toll. And so Detroit was so physical, they were dead. I think they scored 19 fourth quarter points, and 4 of those came when the game was kind of over. And Indiana was just guarding threes at that point. I thought that Portland was terrible. Scoot Henderson is really bad at the rim. He was terrible last year at the rim too. He's got a lot of talent. I thought Golden State defended with speed and some chaos, and they're very deep. One of the deeper teams in the league. So that's something to monitor with Golden State. Wiggins looked good. Draymond
he did.
Plays and has the typical Draymond antics. So, yeah, I'm sure I'm missing some stuff. What did I put in that document?
You did mention football. You also said LeBron and Bronny.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
Did you watch it?
I did.
So I happened to have it on when just before he came in the game. And so just before that, when they were on the bench, I really thought it was, I thought it was a lovely moment.
Yeah.
Was it Dad?
Well, you know what's so funny? I was talking to somebody about this, and I was like, I can't wait to hear David's thoughts, because I know your basketball coach brain has thoughts about Bronny and all that. But the dad in you, I knew, loved that moment between LeBron and Bronny on the bench.
Really? I don't think it's so easy. I didn't know what LeBron was going to do. I don't know what I would do. It's never been done. I just not thought of that. I thought he was a dad. But I also think, by the way, he said that to many rookies before, but not with love in his voice.
Correct.
I thought he just basically said, hey, we got to do some things, but I want you to be free. I thought that was, by the way, he was not. Bronny was petrified out of his fucking mind.
So scared.
It was like that. We call it hot potato. It was like that. Basketball was 112
As soon as his dad gave it to him, he wanted to get off that ball immediately.
And then didn't even know what to do. But the other part that impressed me, maybe even more, is I really looked at LeBron. I literally was watching LeBron, not so much Bronny. And he was just playing basketball. He did set up his son for one shot. It was the right play. He got a backdoor dunk, hammer dunk. He just fucking balled out. In that moment, when his son was in, he was just playing basketball, which is exactly what he should have been doing. Because it's already kind of weird that Bronny, who's no business being in an NBA game, was in an NBA game.
Correct.
If LeBron had made it even more of a story, I don't think his teammates have a choice in the matter, but it would have been adding kind of like salt to the wounds a little bit.
Yeah.
So he just did his part. The kid played a few minutes. Now we can forget about it. The Lakers were impressive. What JJ had him doing, impressive. They shot terribly and played well. So yeah, that part was nice too.
Yeah, no, it was something for sure. For me, David, what sort of caught my eyes first, sort of a kind of large scale thing. The Intuit Dome is insane and just looks crazy.
A lot of my friends have been there.
$2 billion.
Yeah, right. Is that what it was?
Yes. It's just like, I was like, what is this, a spaceship? What is this thing? And that wall fan section, is just like, oh my God. It looks like how a lot of college arenas look, except it's an NBA arena, so it's much bigger. I thought, wow. And look, you spend $2 billion on something, it better be freaking pristine and top of the line, and it is. So happy the Clippers have their own home now.
One thing on that. I did not have the volume on of that game. I had volume on it from other games. But and I probably trend more like you when it comes to billionaires and oligarchs, and Steve Ballmer is certainly one, if not both.
He sure is.
But because I really know nothing negative about him, but to be that powerful,
Correct.
Anyway, I do love his. I love his passion.
Oh, he loves this shit.
Yeah,
loves it.
It's nerdy looking, whatever. Fantastic.
Right. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I remember the NBA is fantastic. Those ads.
Yeah, those are the best.
You could just make it.
He is the NBA. Yes.
Right. I think I don't care if you're an owner or not. I like that they get excited about great basketball plays.
Yeah,
anyway,
for sure.
Go on.
No. Anyway, so the Intuit Dome's nice. Again, happy for the Clippers that they have their own space now. It was nice to see Ja Morant play basketball again. Welcome back to the NBA. In case anyone forgot, this guy's still pretty good at the game. So that was fun. Threes also caught my eye. The Magic took 49. You mentioned the Celtics taking 60. The Grizzlies took 45. Teams that, we always talk about how the NBA is a copycat league, right? And first it was the Warriors. The Celtics took a lot of threes last year. You can see, at least through one game, certain teams who didn't take a lot last year making concerted effort we got to get more of these up. Now, will it last? When they get into crunch time of a game, when they're nervous, will they revert back to what they're normally comfortable with? Will they still keep shooting threes? Time will tell us. But I thought, I know someone got the memo that from the head coach, we got to shoot more threes. And those teams are shooting more threes. So I noticed that. And of course, DeJounte Murray and James Wiseman injuries, just sad.
Wiseman got hurt at the end. Murray got hurt at the end of the game, didn't he?
Yeah. Broken, fractured hand or whatever. So he's going to be out for a little bit of time, obviously.
Yeah, that they're calling it a fracture. Yeah. Brandon Ingram played great.
Yes, he did.
I've not watched the clips yet. I will. I watched everything today, but yeah, I saw 33 or something.
Yeah,
that kind of answers whatever he had. That kind of answers what people were thinking about with him. Zion didn't play. We didn't put on the document, but we need to talk about it. The investigation on Embiid.
Oh yes, let's talk about that now. So I in our chat I said this seems kind of, and I said ... I just look. We know that Joel Embiid clearly is injury prone and is dealing with recovery from an injury he sustained last season, right? He wasn't healthy in the playoffs. And remember, you and I both did not want him playing the Olympics. Looking, who are we? We can't tell him what to do. He played anyway. Okay, fine. And the Celtics, the 76ers came out and said they're going to be very cautious with him this year. He came out and said directly, if I had to guess if I'm playing any back-to-backs the rest of my career, the answer is no. I'm probably not going to. And so the league has to do this because, remember, they have that 65-game clause, number one, player participation policy, and two, inquiries get started when they miss national television games. And the Sixers came out and said he is not playing at all this week. And the Sixers have at least, they had one on Tuesday, on last night, and they have another national televised game, I think maybe Friday.
Is that an automatic trigger, like rules say?
I think it is. I think it is.
Okay, interesting.
But it's like, look, I want Joel Embiid to be healthy. So whatever is necessary for him to do that, that's what I want. Like this whole, we got to trigger an investigation. To me, it's just another way of putting out into the atmosphere, David, that you see, it's these players. They never want to play basketball. And I'm like, we don't need that. I
saw that some people got sick and maybe even died eating a quarter pounder in McDonald's recently, this last week. Yeah.
Wow.
The news was yesterday. And E. coli, I'm guessing, if I remember right. And so if I owned a McDonald's franchise, I know that they advertise for quarter pounders all over the world. I don't think I would serve a quarter pounder because I would be afraid that my customers might get A, poison, B,
right.
Even if they're not, they might be hesitant. And so I think there's a better chance they'll order the Big Mac or hamburger or whatever if we tell them we're not doing quarter pounders at all. There's none of that in my building. I feel like it's the same thing here in a sense. Like the Sixers, let them run their business.
Right.
You advertise whatever you want, NBA. We're trying to win a championship.
Right.
We need Joel Embiid to be great in April, May, and June. And so we're not going to worry so much about a week before Halloween what we do with him.
Yeah.
You stay out of our business. I almost feel like that's what Daryl Morey probably is thinking. Like, hey, we tried it other ways.
Right.
We need him as healthy as possible.
Yeah.
So leave us alone. Let us do our job.
And listen, unless the NBA wants to seriously revisit this crowded calendar and long season schedule, then to your point, stay out of our business, which we know they're not going to. So it is what it is.
It'll be a battle.
let's talk about opening night. You mentioned the Celtics, and I'm with you, David. Watching that game, it was, to your point, it was almost like it was two teams, right? The ring ceremony, everybody's happy. You remember the visions of last year, right? The confetti coming down, all the fun stuff. And then once everybody got their rings and the photos were done and they stepped out onto the floor, it was, okay, game one, let's go to business. And I just felt like and look, part of it is because it's the first game of the season, so everybody's at their freshest, right? This is the freshest they're going to be all season long.
For sure.
The multiple efforts on defense, I was like, wow, you guys are like really, and I feel like knowing Missoula and how he is, they kind of wanted to, like, as much as you can in one game, make a statement. Like, everybody's talking about, oh, what are we going to be like next to a serious contender? Let's show everybody that there's still a gap between us and everybody else. And that's how they look like they played. Like, they played with a ferocity. Tatum, like, I mean, I was like, wow, this is game one, Jason, but you're playing like, fuck you, fuck everybody. I was like, well, if they're doing this. And then you texted us, if the Celtics started to shoot like this, they're going 82-0 this season, which of course they're not going to shoot that well.
Did you see that box score?
Yes.
Everyone was hot as firecracker. So I have a thought about that. I didn't date a whole lot growing up for different reasons, whatever. But when I finally did start dating the woman I ended up marrying, who was super attractive, man, I took her everywhere. Like, if I was going anywhere, she was coming with me, and not for protective purposes. I looked better. My dad told me that long ago. Just don't be a clown, and everyone's going to think you're cool when she's next to you, kind of thing. Great advice, Dad. Really was. So it's fun to date a girl that I was dating. Imagine it's like driving a Bentley. If you drive a Bentley, you don't leave in the fucking garage, right? I wouldn't think anyway. So, like, this team, what a joy it must be to play with those guys. Mm-hmm. It's the best jazz band you could play with. And so I think they're sober, they're rational. They've got Holiday, Horford, White. Come up with an acronym for the three of them. Not to mention Brown and Tatum as talents. They're all huge fans of Peyton Pritchard, just as basketball fans. Right. It's like a Pacers player told me last year, his favorite player in the league is CJ McConnell because he's just so blown away with him. I feel Pritchard's the same way. It's like, how does this guy do this kind of thing? He shot 55% in the preseason, and I heard he shot better in camp every day. I heard it was over 60. So I don't know if it's true, but that's what I heard. So they just have fun, and they compete.
Yes.
And so I don't know. I don't think they're going to have the edge and urgency the Warriors did when they tried to win 73. And I think Joe probably should be smart about trying to prevent that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're going to suit up. They're going to say, let's go. And because it's fucking fun. You know where the ball is going to go. You know they're going to find people open all the time. They're going to help the helpers all the time. They're going to take pride in their defense. You're going to have to hope that they're really off and really execute your plan to beat them a lot this year. They're super special.
And, what you mentioned about the continuity, right? This crew obviously won a title. Tatum and Brown have been there forever, for a long time. Horford as well. So everyone knows each other there. Holiday and White, I mean, can you find more selfless plug and play who do? No. So that all works. Contrast that with the Knicks, David, who they're still working in having McHale and Cat there, right? And you saw it. It wasn't like the Celtics were doing anything complicated, right? The minute they would set their high pick and roll and the Knicks would go two to the ball, I was like, oh, I know what's going to happen now. Swing, wide open in the corner. I think they did it like 15 times in a row. I'm like, guys, they're doing the same thing every single time. And for whatever reason, the Knicks, because they don't have that level of connectivity and continuity defensively, they're not quite sure. Wait, am I supposed to help you here? Like, it'll take them time as well. But that was the obvious difference I saw between the two teams.
Yeah, that's the advantage that they have. They play beautiful basketball, and they so far anyway have managed to avoid the ego that can come with championships.
The disease of me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one game, but the league already knows what they're facing with that team. Yeah. I think anyway.
No, 100%. The Charlotte Hornets, we've talked about how, God, that team just needs a reset to get better, right? Like, new ownership, new coach. So they have both. We are big fans of Charles Lee. He's someone who comes from winning organizations. And we said all along, if he can get these guys to buy in defensively and to compete, get their compete level up, things will look different. Again, we don't want to overreact. One game. But what did you see from Charlotte last night in their win over the Houston Rockets?
Two things. One is regarding Charles Lee, to the comment you made about coming from winning organization. I'm going to argue that he likely was part of that winning organization. You know, I don't know how much he learned compared to how much he added to that winning organization, being a champion with the Celtics last year, because he seems like he's got all of that. And I mean, LaMelo played great.
He was excellent.
He's obviously super talented. And but to me, the story was Trey Mann, who played because Brandon Miller got hurt early. I think he had 24, 4 of 8 from 3. Big shot down the stretch. And the Thunder just have too many guys. And so it was time to pay.
You mean?
It was, no. Trey Mann was with.
When he left, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they have Case and Wallace now.
Yes, yeah.
And so they had to get rid of him. Trey Mann can really go. I talked to someone from Charlotte this summer who said, I said, they asked me, what do I think? Because he's from Florida. He's from like an hour and a half up the road. I said, I don't really know his game all that well, but whenever I've seen him, I've loved him. And NBA players that I truly respect.
Talk highly of him.
As talented evaluators thought, he can really fucking go. And then the Charlotte guy told me, oh yeah, that's exactly how we feel too. Well, game 1, he looked really good. So, it's great to see that. Mark Williams didn't even play, so he was injured. Nick Richards did at the center spot. Bridges was okay. It's there's going to be a battle for the last couple play-in spots. The Raptors, I thought, would be maybe the 9th or 10th seed.
They did not look great.
RJ did not play. They might have been the least impressive team behind Portland. Ahead of Portland, anyway. Yeah, Portland was really, really bad.
They were so bad.
Yeah, compared to, Golden State's just much different level right now.
Yeah, for sure. All right, folks, we'll be back after a brief commercial break. Okay, David, you put out an article this week where you talked about we have some concerns about Jamal Murray and Tyrese Haliburton. Jamal Murray has not played a game yet. We'll find out what it looks like tonight. Tyrese Haliburton has. So you mentioned to start things that you saw. He missed his first 9 shots. One of the things we were concerned, 8 threes. We were concerned about his lower extremities and the injuries he suffered there. From a physical standpoint, when you watched him yesterday, what did you notice? How did he look moving yesterday?
I thought he looked fluid and normal. Okay. I was really happy for that. It is in his head. I mean, I'm telling you, I was texting you guys every time he scored. I mean, he had 4 points pretty late in the game. He ended with 15, including the dagger 3 that probably iced it on a beautiful swing to him bucket. I put the game, I think they're up 7 now with a minute and a half to play or whatever. But he passed up so many shots. I will say he competed on defense and got better as the game went on. I think he had 3 steals, made some defensive plays, might have blocked a shot even. But there was so many little second box shots for him, and he just didn't take them. It was so weird that he didn't. He's always done that. That was where he was last year. He's not there now. But all the indications are good because he had a dunk in the game that kind of got him going. He got a dunk for his second basket, I think, wide open dunk. But still, he dunked it hard. I thought, okay, I've seen him dunk it in the summer when he was training at Siakam's gym. I saw him, and he dunked it then too. And he just has to. He just allowed. Well, first of all, the Pistons played very physically, and Rick Carlisle made a big adjustment, which was he put Andrew Nembhard at 1, so Tyrese could play off the ball and get shots created for him more. That was a super smart adjustment. Andrew obviously is a 1. Tyrese is a shooter, and even though he was missing him, I thought that was a key thing. So they let Siakam and Nembhard they got 16 assists together. Tyrese had 4. And I think they had 2 turnovers combined, the 2 of them. One was the last minute of the game when they called Nembhard for a push. Siakam had 9 assists, no turnovers. So Tyrese is in a good spot playing with playmakers where he can kind of ease his way back in as a scorer. They need him. I think they need him to score close to 20 a night, about 20 a night, to win 50-plus games. And I think that's possible. And but I'm happy with the way he moved. Pacer Nation should be breathing a sigh of relief. Now these guys get a head on that he's fine and just go play.
So it's a question of when we talked about this, I think, last show. So he looks healthy. Now it's the difference between looking healthy and now trusting your body that you're okay. Yeah. It's going to take him some time now to ramp up and be like, okay, I have burst. I can get to that second box and I can have that floater. I can do those different things. And that's going to take him some time, right, to work through that and deal with the contact and all. And be like, okay, I'm good.
But also, I don't know if it's that. Normally, it would be exactly that. What you're describing is common. It looked to me last night, Jarod, that he just hasn't been able to play this way for a while, and he forgot how to do it. Remember, the story is, this is the story I believe Tyrese said, is that when he asked to work with Drew Hanlon, Drew said, only if you take more than 14 shots tonight. This is a couple years ago. And I thought that was smart by Drew because he recognized if Tyrese is really going to be a great player, he's got to be willing to be more than just a quarterback who shoots some open shots. And but he played last night the way Tyrese has always played growing up that I saw. He wasn't the Steph Curry, Steve Nash guy that he was the first start of last year because he hasn't been able to do that in a while. Not really since before the injury in January, except for pocket moments here and there. And so I think it's just the reps of just take the shot, don't worry about the miss. You have the privilege of doing that. You're Tyrese Haliburton. And so, yeah, I'd be encouraged if I was the Pacers that we're going to see the Tyrese that we need to see for them to be great.
Yeah, because we're both high on them. And if they are going to have designs on getting back to the conference finals again, he's got to be that all-NBA caliber player.
He's got to be, for sure.
We were worried. Well, one of the things we knew that they'd be missing is the shooting and stuff off the bench from Buddy Hield, right? He's now in Golden State. How did you think? Who did very well. And of course, that movement-based offense is perfect for him and his talents. What did you think of Mathurin last night in that game? How did he look?
Atrocious early. In fact, I will tell you something. Mathurin looked terrible early. Walker looked like a clown, like taking crazy. This was a football game, and he was playing badminton. That's the example I would give you. I texted an agent who does not represent him. I texted an agent saying you won't see him in the second half. It seemed like a kind of an off-the-cuff thing for me to write. He didn't play in the second half. That's how bad he was.
Yeah.
For me to even make that conclusion would tell you it was a fish out of water. This was a fucking fist fight. And I give Bickerstaff a lot of credit because the only way they could play with a much more talented team like Indiana was to muck it up, and they fucking did. And Cunningham looked amazing,
really
especially he had 18 third-quarter points. He did not play well in the first half, maybe even 4 points. They guarded him really well. They doubled him on the dribble and back downs. But the second half, I thought Mathurin started making some progress as just an athletic energy guy.
Yeah.
Made a big three, got fouled, got some. Ron Howland had at least one technical when he stepped on the court before he was supposed to. That's 6 men on the court. And then they also got another technical for having 6 men on the court after a dead ball. And Bickerstaff kept screaming to the referees, that's your fault. Sorry. Like, you can claim that. I've been coached a few games in my life. It's your job to make sure there's 5 guys on the court at a time. That's it.
Right.
Period. End of story. And I think Ron Howland might have been on the court wrong for 2 straight times. And the Pacers needed those points.
Yeah.
So I think they won by 6, and they got 3 or 4 this way. So I thought Mathurin finished the game instead of Nesmith because of the energy he was bringing, rebounding and energy, and a couple of buckets. The Pacers need stuff like that. And it's really a bigger story, Mathurin is, for the league of Jalen Green, the guys that just don't have a great feel for playing, but are skilled and athletic and whatever. You have to know how to play too. And Mathurin's in year 3. We expect him to start making some progress. I thought in the second half last night he did.
And that's that 6th man coming off the bench. That's the role you think he will be best at in the NBA.
I do. Yeah, it doesn't mean he can't one day start on this team. I think he's better off being 6th man. Listen, there's another theme last night. The Warriors played 12 guys in the first half, I believe.
Yes.
I think the Pacers played 11, maybe 12. Now that I know Wiseman's out, Freeman came in. Yeah, some of these teams are playing, and those teams are too. The Warriors might be the deepest team in the West. The Pacers, I think, are the deepest team in the East. Therefore, they're the 2 kind of deepest teams overall. And they both played a lot of guys. Smart. Very smart to do it this early in the season.
And that'll serve them well because, as we know, if you're going to win in the playoffs, you need to count on more than 5 dudes, right? Duh. And the Warriors in particular, their superstars and their important players, Steph, Draymond, etc., are old guys. So if they can have a night like they did last night where they only played 25 minutes, that is fantastic.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, Tyrese Haliburton. Let's stay on him. He is going to be one of the rotating guest hosts as part of the old man in the three. Although now it's the young man in the three because JJ Redick is now the coach of the Lakers. So no more old man in the three, young man in the three. And he'll be doing some interviews, talking to various people. An interview came out with him and former President Barack Obama. And they're talking about a couple funny things like the Key and Peele handshake skit that everybody knows.
That was great.
There's all sorts of Barack kind of chastises him a little bit about, y'all got to fix the All-Star game, man. What's going on with that? Like, oh, it's a funny, nice moment. I know you had some thoughts about Tyrese being, and he seems like the kind of person who's gregarious enough to kind of do that. Like, I can host and be like a fun.
He didn't seem intimidated.
No.
I was impressed with his presence.
Yeah.
So I don't like those things in general, especially for players under the age of 30.
Right. During
Draymond,
the season.
Correct. Thank you for saying it. Draymond, LeBron, if they want to do it, come on. These guys are grown men. Right. Their bandwidths are huge at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love it for young players who are still trying to establish themselves. Haliburton's a super made man now and all of that. But however, the rotating thing is fine. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
He's got to, I just don't think it's smart to know every week you have to do it.
Yeah.
But if he can look at a schedule and say, you know what, I'm off for 3 straight days at these times, I don't mind doing it. It's a nice escape.
Mm-hmm.
And I never would think it'd be bad to get a chance to spend time with a man as important as Barack Obama.
Oh, no.
For Tyrese's career and future. I listen, I liked that Warren Buffett really provided a lot of guidance to LeBron. I like Obama in the future can be that kind of mentor in a sense to Tyrese, because those kind of things can happen that way.
Sure.
I think it's fantastic. So I was happy for Tyrese and really happy to learn that he's not doing it every single week.
Yeah. It looks like it's going to be that rotating cast as they go through things there. You know, for us in our business, you know, I don't love player-led podcasts and information sites, because then it becomes a situation where it's like, well, what do we need you guys for, right? We're hearing directly from the players themselves. And it's like, yeah, but you're only hearing a sanitized version they want to tell you, right? There's no pushback from anyone there. It's just, oh, whatever you say is, whereas someone like Henry or me or you would be like, no, tell us what really is going on, because that's not it, right? Like that kind of like, that sort of sober capital J journalism is not there. So that part of it I don't love, but it gives fans another intimate access point to these guys, and anything that grows the game, I'm all for that. All right, David, you know we have a tradition on this show. We do top fives. Now, here's the thing. Not everybody's played a game yet. I don't care. Too bad if you didn't play a game. Listen, we are where we are. So we're doing our first top 5 of the season. And we'll start with number 5. Who was your number 5 team?
Jarod, you can't get mad at me for out of protest. I have my number 1 team.
Well, obviously the Celtics. Duh.
Okay, we feel the same.
Yes.
After that, I thought about it. I'm like, I don't know. I was impressed with Charlotte.
Yeah.
I probably have Orlando number 2, just in terms of quality of victory.
Yeah.
No one else. I mean, I don't know that I'd have
the Cavaliers.
Tell me.
You like the Cavaliers?
Oh, well, Cleveland smashing Toronto, although Toronto was missing RJ, but still, they really smashed them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Cleveland, they did it when Darius Garland didn't play well again.
Mm-hmm.
Mobley played great.
I liked how Mobley looked in that game.
Yeah,
I was like,
I have not watched enough film. I'm going to watch it on them the next couple of days. Yeah, they're going to be the East has Orlando, Cleveland, and Indiana. Those 3 teams, because listen, Milwaukee completely beat up Sixers team and looked fine doing it,
as they should.
Right. But those 3 teams right there: Indiana's offense, Orlando's defense, Cleveland's everything, maybe. Yeah, those are 3 really interesting teams.
Those 3 teams, to me, are why Milwaukee is not going to be a top 3 team in the East.
I agree.
Right there.
Because you think New York's going to come around just fine.
I do. It's gonna. Tibbs has got to figure out what to do with Cat and the drop and all that, and they will. You'll give them some time, but they're too good with Brunson and Cat's awesome.
And you think Philly is going to be fine eventually when Embiid.
Those games that Embiid, George, and Maxey play. Good luck. They're going to be tough to beat in those games. Now I will give you my 5 because hey, I did the assignment.
Your 5.
Celtics, 1. And it's basically based on who impressed me the most off their first game.
Right.
Celtics 1, Cavs 2, Magic 3, Lakers 4, Warriors 5.
I think I have no quibble with any of those, and I promise I won't disappoint you next week. But honestly, I have no quibble with any of those things. Yeah. Any of those things. Yeah.
So, the Warriors are interesting because, Draymond on his, we talk about athlete-led podcast, the Draymond Green show, said the vibes are immaculate. And he said, I'm not saying we're going to win a championship, but don't let us win a fucking another one. And he's already starting that thing. I'm like, I don't think they're going to win a championship, but you just said they're the deepest team in the West, you think.
I think so.
So in your mind, you think they'll win a lot of regular season games, you think, for sure?
I mean, I had maybe 46 before the preseason started. I may have to tweak that up a little bit. Wiggins was the huge question mark for me. They're too deep everywhere. The way they're playing, their commitment to defense, they really shoot it. They set a record in the preseason for shooting in one game. I think they made 20-something last night after a terrible start. I mean, they could not make a shot. The announcer I had the volume on. The announcer said, the Warriors are getting a lot of good shots. They're not making any of these shots. And because Portland was beating them at first. And then the Avalanche started. And they just remember the old Warriors, there was a chaotic, just a chaotic haze in their games where they just were everywhere.
Yeah.
That's why we came up with the name Cuisinart. They had that vibe last night of just, God, they were flying around. It was beautiful to see.
And if they're doing that can open, make the West a very interesting proposition because.
Well, and Memphis, as you say. So that's the other team these are two teams that have been really good before that we can't forget about them. And that's what may squeeze Denver out.
And Memphis, remember in that game last night, no Jaren Jackson Jr., no Vince Williams Jr., no Gigi Jackson, no Luke Kennard, right? All those guys are still coming back from injury. So John Morant looking good, and they're shooting more now. And they have more shooters on this team because that was a real problem for them. 3-point shooting. I'm like, wait a minute.
What was Bane's numbers last night? I stopped looking in the fourth
20.
quarter. I thought he was pretty good when I was watching.
Yeah. Especially late. He made big shots. He's getting downhill. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
He looks really good.
Listen, again, what job, the pressure. So we talk about gravity in basketball, right? Of course, the shooting gravity, all that. John Morant's a different kind of gravity, right? When he gets by guys and gets into the lane, that collapses, right? People, oh my God, we got to stop this dude. Now it's spray the ball out to whomever. And now he's confident that I've got guys besides Bane who can make shots out in the corners and at the top. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. Again, one game, curb your enthusiasm. Let's not lose our minds yet. Let's just see how everybody looks. And also, what are we, a week before Halloween? Let's see where we are at Thanksgiving. Let's see where we are at Christmas, right? Like what everybody's doing, who's reverting back to who they are.
The only thing I will add is you have the privilege of talking about November and December. At my age, I just want to worry about today. I can't stress you how often we talk about, we do have to plan for shit. But it's just today. I want to focus on today.
To be morbid, David, nobody's promised tomorrow. Not just you. No one living is promised tomorrow.
Right. But the odds are much better for you than me to be more tomorrows, to be fair. So, but to your point, yes, listen, Charlotte would be the first team to have a good start after a bad few years and then peter out. Orlando's done that before.
Right.
There's reasons for encouragement for these places. It's hard to keep that up. Human nature, injuries, potential trade talks, stress of players, anxiety of guys thinking, oh, what's going to happen? The vibe thing that Draymond said, that sounds great. Things can change fast.
Real quick.
One punch alone ended the season for them. So, and he was on it last night. He was yelling at Kerr about something, but it might have been directed towards someone else. He might have been mad at Steve. He was mad at the referee for sure.
Oh, he got a tech already. Game 1, tech.
Oh, yeah. That was when he was yelling and screaming. Yeah. So, we see Dallas tonight. We see the Thunder tonight. I think the Wizards play for the first time. The Celtics play another
Sacramento,
game tonight.
San Antonio.
Kings haven't played yet. Yeah, Spurs play. We see Wemby. Yeah. So, I'll be tuned in tonight too.
Yeah, so there will be lots of games to tune into. And then this weekend, we got a bunch. And so we'll have plenty to discuss on Monday. All right, everybody. Yeah. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Take care.